Republicans are looking to phase out electric vehicles. Why on earth would they do that? Because they want to defend and support to the death the oil and gas industry. Let's look at a couple of reports. Newsweek reporting Republicans want to phase out electric cars to protect fossil fuels. In late December, Oregon officials approved regulations that would ban the sale of new gas-powered vehicles in the state by 2035. That's pretty interesting. 2 states away in Wyoming, Republican lawmakers are looking to go in a different direction, writes Newsweek, pushing legislation that would ban the sale of all new electric vehicles in what lawmakers are calling an effort to preserve the state's fossil fuel industry. What? Sponsored by Casper Republican Senator Jim Anderson with the support of other Republicans, the resolution proposes to phase out the sale of all new electric vehicles in the state by 2035 to help maintain the fossil fuel jobs that underpin the state's economy. Imagine, I have contraband. I went to another state to get it. What is it? Is it meth? What is it? Is it the abortion pill? No, it's an electric vehicle. Huh. That's pretty bonkers. The proliferation of electric vehicles, reads the resolution, at the expense of gas-powered vehicles, will have deleterious impacts on Wyoming's communities and will be detrimental to Wyoming's economy and the ability for the country to efficiently engage in commerce. They're just going to say you can't buy electric vehicles anymore. Not new. Engadget reporting, Wyoming wants to phase out sales of new EVs by 2035. It's a symbolic gesture aimed at states like California. California and New York, of course, are going in the direction of saying after a certain date, we're not going to allow ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, to be sold. So a couple thoughts. First of all, this is not exactly the free market. Now, you could say electric vehicles shouldn't be subsidized. You could say that. You could take that. You could make that argument and say, listen, I really want a free market. So the government shouldn't offer rebates or tax credits on electric vehicles. Now, if that's your position, you should also say that the government shouldn't subsidize oil and gas, fossil fuels at all, right? If your position is no subsidies, let the free market decide, you've got to get rid of all subsidies and tax credits. That is certainly one position. But it is not a free market to say phase out electric vehicles, but continue subsidizing oil and gas, which is exactly what they want to do. Now, you can make arguments about electric vehicles that I think are perfectly fair arguments to make. Like, for example, the sourcing of some of the materials required to make batteries is a problem. I'm with you. It's got to be figured out. There is no doubt, I believe it's cobalt. The sourcing of cobalt for batteries is a problem. We have to figure out, what do we do with spent electric vehicle batteries? That question is being answered. It's being worked on. It's going to be figured out. But you have to remember that there are some systemic, fundamental advantages to electric vehicles over gas-powered vehicles that make this, I would never say this is the end point. Once electric vehicles are predominant, there will be some next thing, right? 100 years, 2, 3, 500 years. This isn't the end. But when you compare electric to gas-powered vehicles typically have what's called energy conversion efficiency of 20%. That means 20% of the energy stored in the gasoline before you burn it is actually used to power the vehicle. 20%, that's very low. Electric vehicles have an energy conversion efficiency of 90%, meaning that 90% of the energy stored in the batteries is actually used to power the vehicle, to power its systems, to move the vehicle. At the base level, electric vehicles are way more efficient at using energy, and they produce fewer emissions. Now, then you get to the next layer benefit. Electric vehicles don't have a tailpipe. They don't emit pollutants and greenhouse gases at the tailpipe. Gas-powered vehicles, as they drive around, spew dangerous pollutants like carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, particulate matter, all sorts of stuff. Terrible for human health, terrible for the environment. Electric vehicles don't do that. There's no tailpipe emissions. They don't directly pollute the air. Now, of course, where's the electricity coming from? The electricity may be polluting the air, but you can get off of that. You can power your electric vehicle with solar energy, with wind energy. And so every time you go up the chain, you reduce the emissions and the benefit of electric vehicles over gas-powered vehicles grows. Now, we still have problems to solve, but these are fundamental realities. And these Republicans, I mean, listen, even the legacy automobile manufacturers are realizing the direction things are going. They're trying to roll out the EVs slowly, right? They still want to get as much money out of ICE vehicles as they can. But even GM and Ford and all these companies realize the way things are going. But Republicans, some retrograde Republicans, are saying, no, 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 we're not going to do it. It is absolutely horrifying. And they don't actually care. You know, this is like saying, we don't believe that smoking is bad. Let's have this movement to maintain smoking in restaurants that we've seen. The companies that for 40 years have known that the harvesting of fossil fuels is bad for the environment, and they cover up or they pretend they don't know about it, whatever the case may be. It is not only immoral. In the long term, I actually think it's bad business, but the state of Wyoming says, let's phase it out. It will be laughed at eventually. I don't know if it'll be 5 years from now, 10, 20. It will be seen as absolutely absurd that states, once we have the technology, we're building out the charging network, that states were still saying, hey, let's protect the cars that drive around burning fossil fuels, putting it into the atmosphere, furthering the negative impact of the entire fossil fuel industry. It will be seen as insane. When, I don't know, but Wyoming wants to lead the world in that. It's disgusting. Let's take a quick break and we'll be back after this.